Can this new iteration in the long-running Valkyrie series be the jumpstart that the series needs to break out into the mainstream once again? Good day, gamers. Today we'll be talking about first impressions of the soon-to-be released PS5, PS4, and PC game Valkyrie Elysium from the demo that was recently released.
And his brothers combined their strength to slay the primeval giant.
Valkyrie Profile as a series is somewhat of a cult classic, with several scattered releases throughout the past console generations. Arguably the most notable and well-received is the first game, Valkyrie Profile, which was originally for the PlayStation 1 and has been remade for the PSP. That version is also getting a re-release for the current-gen consoles and on the PC. This game, however, shares more in common with the more recent SquareEnix IP Nier Automata than the turn-based style of the old games. At first glance going into Valkyrie Elysium, it appeared to be a visually pleasing character action game with moderately paced combat that's fast enough to give a good feeling of momentum and a deliberate pace when using skills and combos with nice elemental and weapon effects which make the spells and skills seem impactful. The fighting takes place in a decent sized arena, if not the open world, and all the while it's wrapped up in a story, a somber story about slowing or staving off the prophesized end of the world known as Ragnarok. Let's dig into the game, starting quickly with the aesthetics and the sound of the game before getting into the mechanics. The character designs look appropriately elegant and relevant to the time period, even if a little uninspired given the abundance of medieval fantasy settings that we have. So the game basically has many characters taking on the role of some kind of knight or knight variant. The Valkyries still look appropriately graceful, and the humans do have a bit of that SquareEnix man cleavage flair, but the style can still be described as medieval fantasy for the most part. The world itself and the environments, both indoor and outside, get an 8 out of 10 for aesthetics. It is one of the better looking action Japanese role-playing games currently, but not close to games like God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn, or even Forbidden West for that matter, but good nonetheless. The fact that it's coming out on both current gen and last gen hardware might hold back the visuals, but I don't think the devs are necessarily going for a AAA aesthetic level. The sound design does a good job of not breaking immersion while playing, meaning the movement and the battle effects sound appropriate, so nothing more needs to be said on that front. Onto the voice acting. The Japanese voice acting is unsurprisingly good, and the English cast performs respectively, which is to be expected from SquareEnix at this point. Both languages adhere to a serious tone one would expect from a tale about attempting to hold back the end of the world. And as an avid subtitle enthusiast, I can say that this English performance is one of the few I can sit through without cringing to myself the whole way through. The music soundtrack does a good job of setting a whimsical, somber tone, offering a choir backed up with what sounds like a full orchestra. I haven't heard any standout pieces with my time in the demo. However, when a game soundtrack sounds fitting and on theme instead of off-putting, that's a win overall in my book. Getting to the main parts of the game, what is the loop? The loop of Valkyrie Elysium consists of selecting missions or submissions with specific goals from your main base, which is Asgard, then going to the specific map that the mission is located on to gather materials to level your skill trees, weapons, spells, which are divine arts, or your summons, which are Annihilator, and also to gather more submissions. Complete the mission while upgrading whatever you need to get through the stage, and then repeat this process. Now, there does appear to be a breadcrumb trail of the story while on missions, but it's hard to tell from the demo if most of the story is delegated to pre- and post-mission story exposition or not. Now, this being a character action game, the majority of the time will be spent in combat, so it's important it feels right and fun to play, and from what I've played, I'd say those standards are well met. While in combat, your character has a deliberate, weighty feeling coming from the jumping and movement in general being fast and deliberate, which I like. but there's also no way to cancel out of combos, which I don't like as much. There is a dashing and blocking with a parry mechanic, but certain animations, especially at the end of combos, prevent your character from moving at all, locking you into whatever animation you're in at the time. And it's a choice that doesn't completely turn me off from the combat, but it does make blocking or dodging incoming enemy attacks difficult at times. Knowing this would be an issue, the game never spawns too many enemies for you to deal with at once, and to help prevent you from getting overwhelmed by large numbers, you do have several tools available for you, like the ability to summon spirits, your Inhelior, that can be summoned to the battle for a period of time, unleashing a skill upon being deployed and staying on the field to fight alongside you for a while, also adding an elemental buff to the player. These buffs also tie into the effects of your Divine Arts, which is a system of castable skills with elemental attributes learned from scrolls found during missions and around the map. Divine Arts themselves offer a variety of effects, from the earlier mentioned elemental damage to crowd control effects and even healing. These elemental affinities add to your tactical decision making by giving you the chance to stagger enemies and making them more vulnerable if you hit them with the correct element to break their stun gauge, which is located next to the health bar. Fighting also incorporates a grappling hook-like mechanic called Soul Chain, allowing you to quickly close the distance on locked-on enemies and interrupt most of the incoming attacks, making it a good tool to keep the flow of combat going. Aside from keeping the flow of combat feeling smooth, you're encouraged to keep hitting opponents rapidly by way of a hit counter that will fill up your divine gauge faster, thus allowing you to use more abilities. Rounding out your battle options are a variety of weapons that have different combo sets, attack speeds, and ranges. During combat, enemies will drop a variety of souls after defeated to either heal you or allow you to upgrade your character skill trees, summons, and weapons. Enemy variety is also a bit of a question at the moment, as the demo only has one main quest with 2 sub-quests located on the same map, using about 6 different enemy types with 1 or 2 larger non-human sized enemies. But even within the short demo, some enemies were already being reskinned as the elemental variety of the base enemy, so I'm not sure if other maps will have a different array of unique enemies or mostly just reskins of familiar ones. Regardless, overall I found the combat enjoyable, and the leveling of skills, summons, and weapons felt noticeably meaningful. Speaking about the leveling system and increasing your character strength, you'll have several options to increase your power, from 3 separate skill trees offering base stat increases and character abilities like double jump and even an execution available to low health enemies. You'll also have the option to level up weapons that have increases to the base stats as well, but also lengthening combos. Not an option in the demo, but I would assume summons can be leveled up to have similar benefits, but the demo ends before gaining access to that, so I'm not sure how in-depth the summon leveling goes. Lastly, I'd like to comment on the exploring in general. The exploration of the world is split into zones selectable from the home base area Asgard. Once in the mission, the maps are large enough that the game does not feel too linear, and it has wide open vistas and indoor environments as well, though exploring provides very limited number of rewards, such as chests and upgrade materials you can get by smashing open the crates and boxes. You can find more side quests, and then there are these memory flowers, which I'm not quite sure what you use them for in the demo. And in order to explore the entire map, you'll need the correct set of elemental Inhelior skills to get by the puzzles or obstacles, such as creating an ice platform or using a lightning strike to destroy boulders in your way. But there is also minor platforming using your double jump abilities or grappling hook, Soul Chain. I found the fact there is no mini-map a little frustrating, but the menu map is serviceable enough, showing most important points of interest, with a few notable exceptions like treasure chests and soul link grappling points, which are not available on the menu map. As a big Japanese role-playing fan, I find story to be a crucial component and that can really make or break the experience sometimes. So it's important to note the demo does not really have any story to judge aside from the opening tone-setting introduction scene, which explains where in the Nordic legend of Ragnarok the story is actually taking place and shows Odin tasking you with attempting to stave off the world's end in his stead due to injuries after battling the mythic beast Fenrir. So while I can't judge the story definitively, I did like the small amount of story that was on display so far. Overall, I came away from the demo very optimistic about the new installment in the Valkyrie series, and even though I would still like to see the series get a more unique reimagining of the combat system from the original game, a la what was done with Final Fantasy VII Remake, I still think Valkyrie Elysium might be the boost in popularity the franchise needs to one day see that Valkyrie Profile remake of my dreams come to life. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked the video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
安らかに散るがいい。